And good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us at Total Coach here in St John's for the New Zealand Pickleball Cup, powered by PICKLEROLL. Day 2 on our PPA. We are here watching the bronze match, and I am joined by Andy Horridge, the legend himself.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Chris Pascoe. We are joined in the bronze medal match at 4-7-1 in game number 1.
Great finish there by Sarah Jane. We've just started off and we're off to a timeout. So in all fairness to these teams, they have both had very, very long three-setters coming up, and I believe they may have even played you, Mr. Horridge.
They did. I versed Lim and Lazaro in our quarterfinals match with Ella Boydston. Grueling first game, 11-8 down, and then there's a fatigue factor among most of us, and those being 5'8", running just as much as people have to.
Like George Wall, who is not 5'8".
No, but he is controlling that middle in this game really, really well. Constantly finding the back foots of Lim and Lazaro, giving them plenty of time, plenty of space. But what I love in this match so far is Lazaro is really keeping George also, he's flicking it really well cross-court.
Yeah, some very long rallies here. Like once they do get back on court, you're going to see some long dink rallies here, which is great.
And that is the style that Lim and Lazaro do go for, don't they? They, very patient. They're obviously a very experienced couple as well. They play almost every tournament together. Lim and Lazaro play MLP on the Surge as well.
And they've been playing together for quite some time, both hailing from the Philippines, from a similar hometown. And I remember seeing them maybe even 3.5 years ago. I think I first met them in Indonesia at a tournament. And they travel the world playing this game.
Correct. Both Filipino number ones, male and female respectively, and Wall and Burr, arguably Australia's number 1 players as well.
Agreed. That's a great drive from George.
Yeah,
really taking that middle and sending it through.
Really getting into the left pocket and cramping SJ up of the space.
Well, that was great D from Sarah, and then actually both Sarahs. A good switch, and lucky to get away with that one, I think. I think Leander was definitely set at the net, ready to pounce.
Yeah, I definitely think the building pressure here from those third shot drives that George is doing, and that crash, especially with Sarah Bird being a left-hander, much more, you're much more frightened to give away a bad fourth ball because, a crash is more common. There you go. You've just got Burr and Wall winning the first game.
Yeah, 11-6. I think it was a closer match than 11-6. I think, as you mentioned, just those last few points that we were able to see there, it was all Wall driving straight to Lim. Lim doing well to block, but then 1-2 blocks, and then Sarah Burr coming through, crashing through.
Yeah, correct. And they're not the best of blocks, right? George is hitting his spots really well. Obviously, that pressure's building. They're doing really well just to get it back into play. And then Sarah being evident at the net, being intimidating, creating even more pressure and putting balls away.
I was actually sitting with Mike Newell watching George and Sarah play in the semi. And we were actually commenting on George's ball and how fast it was, but it's probably only 70%, and it's giving him that shape. It's actually coming over the net, dropping down, and the block is instantly popping back up. It's already hard enough. I don't think he needs to hit it any harder.
No, I could only imagine what he was doing in tennis. Good old... Used to be playing against Nick Kyrgios back in the day, Tanasi Kokonakis. I found out when I travelled to India with Mr. Wall. But here we are in game 2.
Oh, that's great reach. Great reach for the centre, and then to finish it off with that flick.
That's really good. Sarah Jane Lim's just sitting on her back in there. George has managed to get it to the forehand with an easier pop-up.
Second server.
She might have seen a few of his drives then. That was just a little high. That wasn't the same shape ball that he's been hitting. That was high and it was dispatched very nicely.
That's it. And, that double-hander plays a factor.
Leander's showing Sarah Jane Lim he can do it just with one hand though.
Yeah, I was kind of scared of that in our match as well. Leander's got a very nice backy flick. Something I want to try and replicate in my game a little bit.
0-0-1.
Wouldn't work at a bad Masters level either, Chris.
It would be nice. It would be very nice. I actually played today against Andy Kratzman, an ex-pro tennis player, and being 6 foot nearly, I'm going to say 6, his backhand flick was very nice. It came through like a rocket.
Just long by Leander, pulled the trigger there. What I really like so far in this match is how much the ball's moving from side to side. You can tell that the mixed pairings haven't got, they've got their execution player, but the setup player is really just about moving the ball around, waiting for that pop-up. Playing percentage, playing good pickle.
Yeah, just trying to get them just that 5% out of position, just like that, and there it is.
There we see Leander's backhand roll again. Now, I think both of these teams beforehand in their semi-finals were on the pickle roll. Championship court, we use pickle roll here. Thank you to them for powering the New Zealand Pickleball Cup. But it does play different to these tennis surfaces. It plays slower. The ball doesn't bounce as much. That might help Leander and Lim on the, with how they play their game style.
Yeah, I think they prefer that faster game. That was a good pickup on the backhand there, and then obviously just unlucky to look like a push-off. Not necessarily a fault, but maybe. Not sure.
Yeah, not 100% sure.
She jumped into the kitchen line.
Yeah, that's what I thought it could have been. Was that falling forward on that backhand reset. George getting a bit lucky with the net cord there. We saw him in the semi-final get absolutely stitched up by Mitch Hargraves with about 14 net cords. So it's nice that something's gone his way today.
That was in the third set from memory, I think, or majority of them were in the third set. When it matters.
There you go.
Let's see if we can get this score updated here. What have we got?
2-1-2. Great shot by George Wall, keeping Lazaro on his side. That'll be, now Leander's just watching his side a bit more. Won't be as aggressive in the middle. Won't try and take that fourth ball.
I do think, especially for Wall and Burr, they've had a big morning of pickleball of quite a few three-setters. They'd be wanting to get this over and done very quickly. They have an afternoon of MLP to come this afternoon, so I'm sure they're trying to get rid of this very quickly.
Yeah, they definitely do want a faster game than Lim and Lazaro, but they're also not afraid just to dig it out. They'll do whatever it takes to win. They're professional athletes, some of the best in the biz. Naturally, Sarah Burr's already a defensive style player, so she's ready just to get in the trenches, do some hard work. Great put away there by Sarah Jane Lim. Great ball.
Set up.
Finding the feet of Lazaro. One thing that both of these teams do really, really well, Chris, is they both play in the transition zone really well. They make that one ball if they're, however the third shot is, they creep in, and then they are really happy and fine and comfortable just to play in that transition zone. It's only a couple more feet until the kitchen, and then they're dominant again. Something that a few players lack.
Yeah, it is obviously one of the hardest, spaces to be hitting from, the transition zone. And you can see from this match, there's not many winners hit on the fourth ball. So that means the third, when they're in that transition space, whether it be a reset or a drop, as they move through it, they're doing a good job.
Yeah,
there was a firefight just before, but it was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it wasn't off the third. The third in transition zone, they're doing very well.
Sarah Jane getting a bit lucky with the net there. But as we were just talking about, Sarah stood in the transition zone, took a ball out of the air. It's much easier than staying on the baseline and catching it at your feet, making a longer shot. And then even if you make a good drop, they're probably still catching you in that transition zone.
There's that great two-hander. She pulled that ball down so well, right at George's feet. Wow, that's a fantastic speed up. Good defence from Burr, but, well, Sarah Jane Lim loves that two-hand backhand.
She definitely does, and it's definitely overpowering. What I'd love to see from Wall and Burr at the moment is maybe Sarah trying to hit a few more dinks just down Leander's line, get him a little bit out of position, and then try and find Sarah Jane Lim's inside foot. Pops it up in the middle. Yep. George can get involved then. I'd love to see George try and get a few more balls, and I think that's one way that they could achieve that.
I think you're right, because in the first set, the ball was definitely a lot more middle. I think George was more in the game, and I don't think it's them freezing George out. I just think the ball isn't coming middle like that there.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's the tactic. I think that's just the way that the ball's going at the moment, like the way of the game's going.
The pattern's going that way now. Leander will want that ball back. That's a cheap error there, or a cheap point. And while we do have the pros playing here, on all of these other courts, we have Masters 50 plus mixed playing. We have 3.5s and 4s, and we have quite every single court's being used right now.
Bad luck, but at least that down the line dink created an opportunity to have an easy volley. It's not very often we see Sarah Byrne miss those.
It's like she was listening to you, Andy. You said go down the line, attack down that line, and I think it was a great shot, just unlucky with the execution.
Great point. Love the aggression, love the defense. Unfortunate to... I think that might have even come off the net again, but caught Sarah Jane Lim high.
Not a bad flick from Sarah down the line. Nearly caught George, but George's reflexes are just too quick.
Yeah, and he pinpointed Sarah Jane Lim's shoulder then too. Now, we did just see a lob serve from Leander a couple points ago. Take me through the advantages, Chris, of having a lob serve or utilising a lob serve.
I think we see it every now and then in the 50 plus as well. There are players who definitely like to have the ball brought onto them. They really like the fast serve. And obviously, a lot of the time that ball then has a topspin on it, so that enables you to then rip that back with the same shape. It really is it can be frustrating. It can play into the mental game of people. Some people do not like it. And then you see some players absolutely tee off on the ball and hit it in the net. Or even to the point where they push the ball back safe and it actually enables the other player to come to the net. It's quite interesting to watch. And I saw it yesterday with the 50 plus. Quite effectively used by Martin Clark.
Yeah, correct.
7-4-2.
For me, I think it's more effective in the singles game than the doubles.
Yeah.
I think it does enable you that time to, if they don't hit it back hard and aggressive and they push it, as the server, it enables me to then take a little bit more control and I can then come in on my third. What about yourself? What are you thinking?
Well, we saw it popularised by Marcel Chan last season. Sometimes it works against players, sometimes it doesn't, or depending on the actual player themselves. But the whole point of it is to try and get a shorter third ball, or an easier third shot. Sarah and George getting a nice little lead here in game 2.
It's a great dig out by Sarah. Just hanging on. Yeah, I was about to say it's great to see George getting more involved. That's 6, 7, 8, 9 balls in a row. He's really starting to own that middle. It wasn't like that at the start of the set. We kind of said that the ball pattern was different, and now he's definitely owning that centre and definitely hitting a lot more balls.
Yeah, the pattern's definitely gone back to how it was in game 1. George really opening up the court, dominating that middle,
7-5-1.
and attacking off of Sarah Jane Lim's forehand,
7-5-1.
which is definitely the key when you have as gnarly as a backhand as she does.
100%.
Second
bad
server. Seven, 5-2. Side out.
It does look like on the opposite court, the gold medal match has finished up, and we have the victors of Danielle Townsend and Joey Wild.
It was a good point building from George just then. The key is, as soon as George hits that first really good ball, he's a terrific player, smart player, all the natural ability you want as well. Workhorse, but as soon as he hits that first ball, he really inserts himself into the game from there, as we've just seen like that.
Second server.
Great control, really moving the ball around there by George, and then when the time came, Sarah finished that ball with a tight body shot.
5-7-2. Side out.
That is classy by Mr. Wall. Jeez, I have not seen him do that very often. I didn't even know he had a shot like that in his repertoire. And we've seen a lob serve.
It's like they're listening to us. There it
Bang.
is. Very strong. Very, very strong.
And there you go. You're seeing that shake and bake combo again from Sarah and George.
8-5-1. Point.
There you go. So as soon as that lob serve comes back with a bit less pace, George is already set up. He's got more time to, bend his legs, get into position, have a stable base.
9-5-1.
Drives the ball fantastically, hits his spots, and I bet it's going to happen here again.
I think that's where I really think you do need to generate the pace. You need to hit that ball. If you are receiving that lob serve, just go for it.
Yeah, and that speed up just there was a bit desperate. It looked desperate by Lazaro. It looked a bit clueless.
Match point here.
Second set up.
Leanne will be happy with that. I've heard him yell no 3 times, and the ball has unfortunately been hit. I do understand that. I'm similar like that, like Sarah Jane. I hit the ball as well.
See ball, hit ball.
Side out.
Would have been a fun way to end it.
Absolutely.
Not quite.
5-10-1.
Don't count Lim and Lazaro out.
5-10-1.
Both teams up at the kitchen, dinking very well. It's the ladies at the moment.
Second set
Great
up.
dink. So by Sarah Burr and Sarah Jane Lim having that cross-court dinking rally, it forces the male to stay on their line. Otherwise, it's fast, it's open too much. They can easily pull one just down the line. Love to see Sarah Burr just play one shot to Leander's backhand. Hopefully that'll trigger that and get George involved.
Side out.
I think that's testament to Sarah Jane's actual dinking. She didn't hit that many that high and that wide.
Yeah.
Mind you, Sarah Burr is a lefty, so she should be reaching in. She can reach in and grab that and hit it in behind Leander. Match point. Let's see.
Second set up.
Oh, not over just yet. 10-5-2, the third bronze medal point for the likes of Wall and Burr.
Side out.
And an unforced third shot by George. We won't be happy with that one. Let's see if Lazaro and Lim can find some momentum.
Yeah, that's great coverage by George. Really, really well played.
Does help being lanky.
5-10-2. Side out.
Great shots. So if I am Lazaro and Lim, I would just keep wanting to play Sarah a bit more. Maybe chuck one in to try and get Leander involved.
Yes.
One dink to George's backhand because he's not going to speed up on it. He's always going to cut it cross.
As you can see, George is really hovering around that tee. He moves incredibly well back to the line, but he's just hovering around that tee.
Second set
And that's a
up.
great spot by Leander Lazaro. And what Lazaro does really, really well on that backhand dink is he gets a lot of slice on it. He really pushes it, really cuts through the court,
Side out.
rather than around it.
Yep.
No stuffing about. Really gets to the point and just skids straight through.
It keeps it low and takes away just precious seconds. It really does. If you don't get low, you're not bringing that back up. Sarah Jane Lim could have just kept going. So I think she had it. She could have just kept going across there.
Yeah, I don't think she really needed to pull the trigger just there.
5-10-2.
But at least that opens up the court. That one dink that Sarah Jane Lim hit to Georgia's backhand got Leander involved. There's a big gaping hole down Georgia's line now that Sarah has to cover. They can toy a little bit more with it.
Absolutely, absolutely. It just keeps the opposition thinking.
10-5-2.
Let's see if they can close it out now. Burn Wall. Back to the loopy serve.
Oh,
That's
what
a
a
terrific
shot
shot.
by Leander. Wow.
They are just hanging on. I believe they have had 3 full sets, so they've had 6 match points at least. Let's see if Lim Lazaro can get off that dreaded 5.
Second server.
Not meant to be for now.
5-10-2.
Here's a pattern we've seen and become quite familiar with. Girls and the ladies hitting it out.
There you go. And Georgia's back foot. Backhand dink just there. No bueno. No good.
6-10-2.
I think he would have been hoping to have been back in the dressing room, in the changing rooms by now at 10-5. They've had their chances.
Sign out.
I actually wouldn't mind seeing a timeout here from Wall and Burr. I mean, Wall's definitely smart.
10-6.
Give Sarah... There you go.
There it is.
It's
Very
almost
good
like they
call.
are listening to us, Chris.
I was about to say, Andy, my son Lucas Pascoe played with George Wall on the Force. I believe they played you in Melbourne in the finals. Was that right?
They did indeed.
They did, yeah. And I know for a fact that was one of the strategies of that Force team was at the 20. Let's go and have a timeout if we've got it up our sleeve. And let's actively plan what are we doing in this point.
That's exactly
This is
right.
our point.
And this is almost like a freeze at the moment, at the way that the game is being played and at the way the game's, being played at the moment. This 10 for them, winning on serve, it's almost like that MLP freeze. So obviously both of these guys are captains. They've played plenty of freezes in the past, but I just want to see George giving, one set plan. What are we doing on this third shot? Who are we hitting it to? What are we doing off of it? Something like that can really change the outcome of this game.
I think this is what we might see right now. Yeah, there it is.
And there you go. A third shot to SJ's forehand. Well done to the pairs of Lazaro and Lim on 4th place. Well done to George Wall and Sarah Burr taking home the bronze medal.
Thank you very much, Mr. Horridge, and we'll wrap it up now and enjoy your afternoon.
Thank you very much, guys.
What's your duper?